This week's 48 Hours digs into the case of a former beauty queen who died with drugs in her body. In 2022, Sarah Harris was found unresponsive at the Maryland home she shared with her boyfriend, Dr. James Ryan. Ryan, an oral surgeon, told police it was an overdose, but her mother believes Sarah was murdered, and the scene looks suspicious. 48 Hours contributor Nikki Battiste explains why.
It was January 26, 2022, about 7 a.m., when police with body cameras discovered 25-year-old Sarah Harris at home with her 48-year-old boyfriend, Dr. James Ryan, who told them he'd last seen her the night before.
Oh, you just found her unresponsive?
Yeah. I pulled her onto the floor to start CPR.
Ryan said Sarah struggled with depression and drugs, that she had worked for him and sometimes stole from his office, where he kept the surgical anesthetics ketamine and propofol, both found in her body.
Did she do any drugs yesterday while you were around her?
No, I was around her.
Okay.
Authorities at the scene accepted Dr. Ryan's account, but Sarah's mother, Tina Harris, soon arrived, already suspicious Dr. Ryan was behind her daughter's death.
And I went towards James and attacked him. I started kicking and hitting him and screaming at him.
Sarah's sister Rachel soon unearthed text messages between Sarah and Dr. Ryan, suggesting he'd brought her the drugs and just weeks before she died even dosed her himself. "If you wake up, I just went to change after I gave you ketamine just now," he writes.
He's injecting her while she's asleep.
Detective Ian Iacovello, who specialized in pharmaceutical cases before retiring last year, says first responders may not have understood what they were looking at. He says cops usually see street drugs, not surgical medication and supplies like Sarah had.
Usually what we see is burnt spoons, tinfoil, not medical grade drugs.
On March 22, 2022, James Ryan was arrested, and prosecutors charged him with a crime known as depraved heart murder. He pled not guilty, but Assistant State's Attorney Jennifer Harrison says Ryan showed a reckless disregard for human life.
The act of giving her the drugs is handing her a loaded gun.
Nikki Battiste joins us now. So, Nikki, why would Dr. Ryan have killed Sarah Harris? What's the motive?
It's a good question. There really is no obvious motive in this case, and there's really no conclusive evidence he even wanted Sarah Harris dead. But as a doctor, he's an oral surgeon, he had to see that she was wasting away, and prosecutors argue he wanted to use those anesthetic drugs to control her.
Yeah. What can you tell us about Sarah's sister, who the authorities say was very critical to this case?
Sure, remarkable. Rachel Harris really was the first investigator on this case. Everyone told us that without her, there wouldn't have been a murder charge, and this probably would have never gone to trial.
Mom seemed very suspicious from the word go. Did she ever try, prior to that moment, to get her daughter away from Dr. Ryan?
She tried a couple times to get Sarah away. She kept asking her to leave, and Sarah threatened to cut her off. Like any mom, she didn't want to lose her, but in the end, that is exactly what happened, sadly. I've covered many, many criminal cases. I've never covered one like this. It's incredibly unique, using these anesthetic drugs. And this charge, I had never heard of, depraved heart murder.
We all looked at each other.
We all had a
Everyone's
reaction to that.
tuning Saturday night to find out what exactly that means, how it applies in this case. It's really fascinating.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Wow. Yeah, you got me hooked, Nikki. Thank you very much. You can catch Nikki's report, The Depraved Heart Murder, on 48 Hours this Saturday night at 10, 9 Central, right here on CBS, and, of course, streaming on Paramount+.